Welcome to this introduction to the latest version of the Calvarian CMDB Population Solution. The CMDB Population Solution gives you an easy way to integrate data from System Center into your CMDB. It picks up new, updated and deleted CIs. It's recently been rewritten to retrieve data directly from Config Manager or Operations Manager, so it's no longer dependent on Service Manager. The performance has been significantly enhanced and it's very flexible. Okay, let's take a look at the solution in action. So there are a number of runbooks associated with the solution. As always with all of our solutions, it's written in a modular fashion, it's easy to use and it's very easy to adapt and enhance. So the solution is going to pick up the data, as I mentioned, from Config Manager and the Operations Manager databases. It's heavily SQL solution. All of the scripts that pull the data out of those source systems are included within the solution, and we're going to create 5 different types of CIs with the base configuration. That's computers, logical disks, physical disks, processors and network interfaces. The configuration is driven by variables, as you can see on the screen, so we can turn on and off integration into SCOM or Config Manager, and we can also pick the target solution. So just taking a look at the databases here, you can see I've got a vanilla Config Manager database on the system. My Operations Manager database is here as well, and there are a number of tables associated with the solution within our PDS. So we have tables for the Config Manager data, the Operations Manager data, and we also have a set of consolidated tables. So I'm just going to search through and show you that there's no data in here at the moment. So the first table was the consolidated data, the second Config Manager for computers, and finally Operations Manager. So I'm going to start up the solution now, performing an initial run, which is going to pull back all of the data. All of the runbooks are included, which will initialize the solution from scratch. And there's a runbook included which will run on a scheduled basis. So that's the main control runbook. By default we have that configured to run once every 24 hours. I'm actually just going to start the initial runbook because all of the database tables have been pre-created for me. So we can see it's now collecting the data from Config Manager and SCOM, and that has completed quite quickly. It's quite a small system that I've got here, but you can see it's completed in about 20 seconds for the 30 or so computers with the associated disks, processors, etc. within the system. So I'm just going to execute the query now. We can see there are 7 rows for Operations Manager. For Config Manager there are further 26 rows, and then our consolidated data, the data that will actually get pushed through to the target CMDB. If we execute that query, we can see that we have 28 rows, so there's some overlap between Operations Manager and Config Manager, and the solution handles that. So whilst we've been having a look at this data, the first sets of CIs should have been pushed through into ServiceNow. At the moment the solution is using the ECC Queue. We found the ECC Queue gives us a very flexible approach within ServiceNow, and it's easy to enhance and configure in the ServiceNow end. It means that the ServiceNow administrators who are looking after the CMDB have got a lot of flexibility in what they do with the data, and the performance is also very good. So we can see some of our data has already been written into the CMDB. So if I query ServiceNow and take a look at the ECC Queue, so we can see there are a number of records here. I'm just going to filter the source to show only those records that have come from our Orchestrator system, and we can see that already there have been a number of computer records created within there. Just going to refresh that list. We can see as we speak more computer records are being added into that list. Okay, that's good. So if we go back to Orchestrator now, we're just going to keep an eye for when the computer CIs have finished being created. It shouldn't take too long. Okay, let's just have a look in the log history. Okay, and that looks like the end of the computer CIs, so it's now creating the logical disk CIs. So again, if we refresh that list, We can see now that there have been 3 logical disks created, each related to the machine called DC within our environment. And if we have a look at the XML for those disks, we can see that this is the E drive. It's an NTF file system. We can see the serial number and we can see the size of the disk. Let's pick another one of those DC disks and we should see that that is a different disk. So we can see there the data for the C drive has been passed through as well. As you can see, all of the data is being passed through to ServiceNow to be processed in the CMDB. It's all very straightforward. If you'd like any more information about this solution or any of our other solutions, please visit www.calvarian.com.